Welcome back to the Two Dudes and a Beer podcast. I'm back with it's Britt and we got Cobe once again. We may have some guests on here soon, but who knows? Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube and follow Spotify, the podcast on Spotify. And today we'll start with our bets and predictions from last week. All right, I'll start with my bets and predictions. I went 3-1 on bets with UConn failing me. Thanks, UConn. But Cincy and Miami got over 50.5. Cal and Notre Dame got over 40.5. And Kansas won. And I got 4-4 on predictions. So that brings my total to 8-8 on predictions. I got the bold prediction being Kansas beating Houston. And my bets are now 5-3. That's great in Vegas. And so go. Your predictions are you were 4-4 last week, and you were 2-2 on bets. With Auburn screwing you in the butt, your sleeper bet South Carolina screwed you, and Texas A&M winning, and USC and Fresno State was always obviously going to be under 73.5. So let's talk about that.
The only thing that kept me even money was that over-under on Fresno State.
Yeah, you don't keep up Pac-12 much, or not even Mountain West either, because that's what Fresno is. But it's hard to see any Pac-12 team and a Mountain West team scoring over 74 or scoring 74 or more.
Yeah, whenever I was looking through it on the sports book, I was just like, "There's no way that they're going to score over 74 points in that game." I just didn't see it.
It's always interesting for over and unders. I feel like there's always gonna be like, oh, 75. Oh, this one's gonna be 40. Oh, okay. I hate over and unders. They're the bane of my existence. But we'll move on to our. I asked the question at the end of the last podcast. It was who would have the most passing yards in this weekend's game, aka Week 3 games, and we said Bryce Young. Do you think he got? Do you think he was most?
No, I think we were wrong.
We were. Who would you have picked? Not Young. If you didn't pick Bryce Young, who would you pick? So the options were C.J. Stroud, Ohio State, Levis, and Jaren Hall for BYU. That were the other three options. I said.
Probably the kid from BYU.
Okay, what? Okay, I'll get. Okay, between C.J. Stroud and Will Levis, who had the most?
That would be Stroud, I would think.
It's Will Levis.
Oh wow, Will Levis, nice.
He had 377. Stroud had 367. Darren Hall had 305. And Bryce Young somehow only had 236. I was confused on that. When I seen that, I was like, wait, how does Bryce Young, the best quarterback in the country, going to have only 236 versus Young and Monroe? I was so confused about that. But Will Levis was the winner of our question. We'll have another one at the end of this episode, and it'll be easy. Like, should have been easy. I should have picked Will Levis, but oh well. Any thoughts on that?
No, dude, I think Will Levis has turned up. I mean, in my opinion, I think he's probably the best quarterback going into the draft this year.
Mel Kiper has him at number 4 right now, or number 4 pick, not number 4 quarterback. So that's just interesting insight there. Mel Kiper thinks highly of Mr. Levis. And we'll move to our preview of last week's top games in our eyes. We'll start with we predicted that LSU to win this game. I think both of us predicted that LSU win this game. And they end up winning, 31-16?
Yeah, that's correct. I think Mississippi State ran up against the home crowd there in the second half. I mean, LSU at home, man, you just can't bet against them. you got to go hard and strong for LSU whenever they're at home, and I mean this game proves that.
So when looking at the quarterbacks in this game, they were pretty even, except Rodgers made a few more mistakes. Could you tell the difference if that Will Rogers was the better quarterback somehow? I don't know if you can tell that.
No, honestly, I can't. I don't really see a skill difference between the two of them. I mean, I think the two of them both played really well. I think the quarterback for LSU really came on late game, and I attribute that more so to the crowd than anything. But I don't think quarterback play really had anything to do with the outcome of this game.
So who is LSU's running back this year? His name is... Oh, it's that one guy that was suspended for a game or two. His name is... No, I don't even remember off the top of my head. John Emery. He got a touch. I think he got a touchdown, or maybe it was... No, it wasn't Emery. It's Armani Goodwin. He played pretty well in that game from the last part I watched. Number 22.
Yeah, so I think against a defense like LSU, and especially playing in LSU, Mississippi State's scheme is going to have to change a little bit to kind of adapt to that, because there's no way you can throw the ball 60 times and survive against a team like LSU in LSU. I just don't see how it's even possible, especially with the team that they have right now.
I think it's more of a Leach problem here, not like Mississippi State. His play style has always been suffered. They've always suffered on his teams have always suffered on the road. We seen it at Kentucky 3 years ago where they scored a safety and that's it, like 21-2 or something like that. So it's always been a problem with him on the road. Yeah, I'm not saying he's not a good coach or anything, but his scheme needs to change differently at home in a way.
And I mean, I think that to run that scheme, he has to have very talented linemen, and I don't think that he has that right now.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at it, Will Rogers was on his ass for half the fucking game.
Yeah, and that's where it led to his personal mistakes in that game. So, yeah. LSU got the better of the Bulldogs in this matchup as they did last year, too. But we can't say we're surprised we predicted LSU to win this game. But we'll move to the more interesting games from this week outside of Michigan State and Washington, that we'll talk about in a little bit. But we'll talk about Purdue and Syracuse. You didn't watch this game. So what happened was a late... So what was 25-22 going into like a minute left. Purdue scored a bomb from Aiden O'Connell, go up by 4. Then a last-second winner from Garrett Schrader, Syracuse's quarterback, domed them up for the win. So it's like it's one of those interesting. There's not good teams. Well, Syracuse is 3-0, so they're not that bad. But it's like one of those games where good teams actually play good, and then bad teams and good teams play okay. But Purdue is always how should we describe Purdue? A team that can beat a team have we seen before. Ohio State that 1 year, Michigan State last year. I didn't know how to put that. But it's always interesting, Purdue is. And Syracuse actually looks great. They have that Sean Tucker, that running back who is going crazy. Or since last year, he's went crazy. And he made some my performance was okay versus Purdue on his post like that on Twitter, and everyone goes crazy over it. But honestly, Syracuse was the better team in that game, and they won fair and square. We'll talk about Tulane and Kansas State. Tulane was not the favorites, not by any means of the road, and they went on the road and beat Kansas State. I don't know how. I really couldn't tell you. Michael Pratt's a god. That's all I can say. He played okay in that game.
Mean Green out of New Orleans. Never doubt him.
It's hard to go in the Big 12 on the road, even if you're not even in the Big 12. It's hard to win. Adrian Martinez is not a good quarterback. That's what I've got from Kansas State so far this season. He has not proved anything that he's good. He didn't throw that bad in that game. I guess Tulane's defenses came up clutch at the end. Let's see what happened at the end of this game, man. Oh man, that's a tough way to go out. Kansas State had the punt and they didn't get the ball back. Oh, poor Kansas State. Then they play Oklahoma this week, so we'll discuss that one a little bit later. And we'll move to Michigan State and Washington. Where should I begin? Talking about their coach, or should I talk about their secondary?
Probably the coach first.
Look, I think Mel Tucker is one of the better rousing coaches. It's always hard to go in on the road prom time in Seattle. Seattle's one of the biggest cities. Well, not. Yeah, I guess we can say one of the biggest cities in the U.S., right? We can say that.
Yeah, I would think so. One of the top 20 for sure.
It's hard. They have a great atmosphere in Seattle. Their stadiums are going to be big. Washington has a great fan base. That felt very weird to say. They have a good fan base. Their team's under a new coach, going in a new direction, so they're not going to be a bad team this year either. The Michigan State, well, I'll leave Mel Tucker off for this week. I expect Washington to win this game. We'll start with their Michigan State secondary. You remember that game last year where Ohio State scored 56 on them?
Yes, I do.
That's exactly what I thought whenever I seen who's their quarterback? Washington's quarterback. Michael Penix, yes. High praise for Michael Penix. He's been crazy so far. But Michael Penix legit domed them up. Michigan State's secondary looked like freaking dog shit. You don't have a chance if your secondary can't produce turnovers or at least get you out of dangerous situations.
I didn't watch the game, but I read the stats. It looks like the kid played very, very well.
I think he's leading he's like top 3 passing yard leaders right now in college football. Michael Penix is very good. Indiana, what did you guys do? I can't believe they went up 22-0 in 15+7. They went 22-0 in 22 minutes. That's crazy. But credit to them for making it kind of close. It was 39-14 to start the 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and they got it down to 39-28. So good job for them doing that. Their offense is okay. Defense, you guys need to work a little bit. But I'm not going to bash you that bad. I expected this. Then Troy and App State. Where do we even begin? I don't even know where we begin with this one. Should we talk about the Hail Mary?
There's only one thing to talk about. It's the last play of the game.
All right. Oh, let's talk about it. Troy has a new coach from Kentucky, their linebacker coach, Summerall. So I knew they were going to be okay this year. But after App State had so much energy beating Texas A&M, I thought they were going to take this one easily. And they had game day there as well. Like, you guys had to win this one. What a way to win it, though. Gosh.
Well, I think the teams can get hangover. That's the way I call it. You go in, you get a big win, like App State beating A&M, and they end up with hangover. They get the big head. I'll put it that way. They come in overconfident. They think they're better than, not better than what they are, but they have overconfidence. I call it the winning hangover. I think that Appalachian State kind of had that, and they fixed it before the game was over, barely. But I think that was the situation.
I don't know. I don't know if do we even call Hail Mary's luck at this point? That was just some. I don't know what Troy's defense was doing. They just like batted it down to him right in his arms and just took it into that end zone. That was definitely the best game of the weekend, though. There was not every game, other game was like not really close at all. I know Syracuse and Purdue were 3 points, but that was the best game of the weekend.
Right. Yeah, I enjoyed the LSU Mississippi State game, but that's more of a personal thing.
Yeah.
I'm from Mississippi, went to LSU, so I mean, it really didn't matter who won. I would enjoy it one way or the other.
I just couldn't wait. Kentucky won, Freddie won nothing, so obviously I enjoyed that. But from a fan of neither one of these teams, I mean, I like Troy because he's a Kentucky coach now, or former Kentucky coach, but easily the best game of the weekend for me. I thought there would be more competitive games last weekend, but we had an upset weekend turn into a blowout weekend. Every competitive game that we thought was going to be competitive was blowouts. So you can't. That's college football for you, though. That's all you can say.
Oh, it was straight blowouts across the board. I mean, I
hated it.
I don't know how you could predict the stuff that happened this weekend.
And that's what we're here for. Try to predict it.
Yeah, no kidding.
And now we only have one piece of college football news, and that's Scott Frost was fired from Nebraska last weekend. Should have happened last season. Herm Edwards was fired from Arizona State. Should have happened last season. So I'll bring up some stuff came out today about that particularly. But first, I'll bring up some potential next head coach. Harsin. I don't know where that one came from, but Auburn head coach Brian Harsin. I don't know. Are they expecting him to get fired or something? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't foresee that guy keeping his job.
And there's some other names like Tom Herman. Then you have some up and rising coaches like Charles Huff, the Marshall head coach. And then you have some okay coordinators. Bama fans don't like him, but Bill O'Brien, he's a potential one. Deion Sanders has popped up recently as well. I don't know where that one came from. Been some like Derek Mason, Alex Grinch, some coordinators at some good schools. So who would be your coach for this school? They have the money. They'll probably move to Big 12 in a few years. Who knows about conference realignment? But who would be your dream coach for Arizona State?
I would think they go with an assistant. I'm not going to say which one. If I were them, I would go with like a Georgia assistant or an Alabama assistant. Try to snipe one of those guys, and just kind of pick one of them up and roll with that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I thought seeing Harsin's name on there was weird. Herman's name on there being weird. But there's coaches like Charles Huff. Yeah, I mean, he finally we had a good reason to bash Notre Dame. Then we have like Bill O'Brien. He ain't going back to the NFL. Tom Monken, okay coordinator. Wait, Ted Monken's not coordinator. Anyways, Alex Grinch is okay. Then there's like rumors of Deion Sanders. They say money talks, and Deion Sanders could be on his way to Arizona State. I don't know if that's true or not. But before we continue this, same stuff came out today about his firing. Arizona State staffers were reportedly leaking information to help opponents get him and to help him get fired. What do you think about that?
Unacceptable. I mean, as you know, I'm not going to say too much on the internet, but I manage a pretty large company, and I mean, loose lips sink ships. If you catch somebody sharing information outside of your organization, you got to run them off. Like, that's all you can do.
Yeah, I agree. Whoever the staffers were, maybe it wasn't even. Maybe it was who knows, recruiting assistants. Is this? Who knows who it was? But they should be gone no matter what. If it's true, it was reportedly leaking. So I mean, we don't know if it's actually true or not. But if it is true, they need to be gone. They have to be gone. And we'll move into the fun part of the weekend. Predictions time. Yay. Always the fun part.
Time to be wrong again.
Yeah. I see we're 50-50 for almost every game. That's good to see. we're not very iffy on these games. We're usually together on all of these, but not this week apparently.
Yeah, no, we're not very cohesive this week. That's for sure.
The last 2 weeks, I'm pretty sure we had 10, 11 out of our 15 predictions the same. Not same score, of course, but same with team winning. But we can go ahead and start this. Why not? We'll start with our game of the weekend. Is that our game of the weekend? You'd say?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, Arkansas A&M.
Yeah. So Arkansas it's not even at Texas A&M. It's in Arlington, as they've always played, except 1 year at College Station. And Texas A&M is favored by 2, as they are pretty much the closest team to Dallas. But I'll say Arkansas beat Texas A&M last season 20-10. But Texas A&M won their previous non-meetings before their loss last season to the Hogs. The Aggies had Zach Calzada, and he's now at Auburn, as their starting quarterback during that game. Will that make a difference in this game? Sure, Arkansas lost some pieces, but I'm still going with the Hogs. 34-24. Sorry, Texas A&M.
So I want to throw something out there before I give my rundown of this game. Sam Pittman for Arkansas has done a hell of a job. I have nothing but respect. After kind of what happened 2 weeks ago and then a week ago with Arkansas coming into College Station, A&M -2. I just get the feeling that A&M is going to go off again. So I'm going mainly with the home field advantage. I'm going A&M 35, Arkansas 21. With respect to Arkansas.
Jimbo Fisher. I mean, we all know how good Jimbo Fisher is at coaching. There's no doubts about it. But his time at A&M probably hasn't been what he's wanted. He's been winning. Like, what he had a successful trip at Florida State. He hasn't had that same exact trip at A&M. But, hey, this game could go either way. That's why the spread's only -2. So we'll take it and leave it. We'll go 50-50 on this one. Nothing wrong with it. Oh, and now we got the ACC game of the week. Yeah. Number 5, Clemson at number 21, Wake Forest. Clemson's favored by 7, going to Wake. Clemson hasn't lost a game to Wake Forest since November 9th, 2008. They lost 12-7 in that game. I found since they lost coordinators like Brent Variables, I don't remember the other guy's name, the Virginia coach now, I found like their offense has improved a lot. But I feel like Wake Forest has improved a lot too, especially Sam Hartman's back now. With that being said, I think Wake Forest finally gets their trend of L's to Clemson out of the way, and I think they win 45-38. Go Damon Deacons.
Very good. I am pretty much thinking the same thing, except for I'm thinking Clemson is going to stomp more of a mud hole in their ass. I am thinking 42 Clemson, 14 for Wake Forest.
Into my particular reason why I said Wake Forest win this game, I don't have faith in Clemson's quarterback, DJ Uiagalelei. I don't have very much faith in him. I mean, he's played pretty well to start the season. He's just not like a typical Clemson quarterback. We've seen Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson, those Todd Boyd even. Those free quarterbacks are not even similar to DJ. I like DJ as a player. He's not horrible. I just don't find he's like a Clemson quarterback. But hey, it could be a stomping or a upset. That's the only ways it can possibly go. I have no doubts in my mind. It's gonna be one of the two. Then we'll move to Florida and at Tennessee. Tennessee. This is gonna be an interesting one here. There's only two ways it can go: Florida upsets or Tennessee smashes.
So, I was actually gonna take Tennessee as one of my bets later on, but I stayed away from it due to the 10.5 line. I'm gonna take Florida 21, Tennessee 28, but I don't have a whole lot of assurance. This game could go either way.
Just because I predict something doesn't mean it's just because I predict it doesn't mean it's actually going to happen or I want it to happen. It's just a prediction. But I said Tennessee has not beat Florida since 2016 when they beat the Gators at home. I think Florida will struggle to keep up with the Vols' high-powered offense led by Hendon Hooker. Man, Virginia Tech, why do you guys let him go? Anyways, hate to say this. But for once, I have to say I'm backing Tennessee. I got 42-28. Hendon Hooker is one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. I hate to say that. It's like him and Anthony Richardson, good quarterbacks. One's proved more than the other. Richardson, you couldn't play. Watch me say that. Anthony Richardson plays better than Hooker now. Gosh dang it! Why'd I say that? Sorry, Tennessee fans.
Oh, dude, I think he's a good quarterback. Next one up is really interesting. 22 Texas at Texas Tech. What do you think?
Oh yeah, Quinn Ewers is obviously still down with injuries for the Longhorns. I think Hudson Card's played great since since Ewers went down in that Alabama game. Be a good UTSA team since that game. Texas Tech hasn't beat Texas at home since 2008, but they have won 2 meetings since then in Austin. I think the trend of Texas winning in Lubbock continues, but I think it could be an upset too. But I'm going with the Longhorns winning 38-28.
All right, so I'm going the opposite. I think home field advantage seals it for Tech. I'm going Tech 35, Texas 21.
Their quarterback, Donovan Smith, I believe it is, Texas Tech's quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
He's done pretty well this year. He wasn't even supposed to be started this year either until that Oregon transfer went down with injury. So credit to him for playing well. I think he's a freshman or sophomore like Haynes King is too. We'll discuss. We haven't even brought up the quarterback situation at A&M. I guess we don't have to be honest. Max Johnson played better than I thought. But this is on Texas Tech here. Donovan Smith's a good quarterback. I just don't know if he was actually ready to start this year. As Tyler Slow, I think his name is, was supposed to be the starter this year. Backup coming in clutch. Texas Tech has had a hard schedule too. They've had Houston. They've had NC State. Those are 2 good teams. At least they beat one of them.
Yeah, that's a tough off-conference schedule. And then knowing what they're going into.
Tough Big O-12. Where your defense can be trash one day and then play godly the next.
You never know what you're going to get.
We'll stay in the Big 12 though. We'll go with the Kansas State and Oklahoma. Before we give our predictions, what do you think about that whole coaching mirage they've had? I don't think I've actually asked you that. Brent Venables is becoming coach now.
At K-State?
Oh no, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma. Brent Venables' coach now. Lincoln Riley left. I don't think we haven't talked a lot about Big 12 football. So, what was your entire thought about Brent Venables becoming the head coach? The defensive god at Clemson. Their defense has proved to be really good this year, smoking Nebraska.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I don't know. I mean, I think it's tough on them. They went from Stoops to many coaches between now and then. And I mean, I know the college football world is, it's fluid. It's always in motion.
Yeah.
But it's still tough on the kids. It's still tough on the organization whenever the coach is changing, every year, every 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's catching up to Oklahoma.
But credit to Oklahoma for having a great start to the season. We knew they would be great with a defensive coach coming in. It's just a matter of if the offense will click on certain games.
Oh, absolutely. I'm surprised they've done this good for this long because, like I said, I mean, from running an organization, your face of leadership changing every year, that kind of makes it hard. Whether it's a football team or a business or anything.
Yeah, I got you. Credit to Brent Venables, though. I never thought he'd be a good head coach. But then we'll move on to the predictions now. In the last 3 years, Kansas State is 2-1 against the Oklahoma Sooners, including a 38-31 win in 2020. It's a primetime game. I believe it has an upset written over it. You don't particularly agree with it, but I'm going with Kansas State winning 34-28.
No, man, I can't do that. Not in Norman. I mean, they're playing in Norman, Oklahoma. The fans are going to be fucking wild. I got Kansas State 10, Oklahoma 38.
I just like the history behind the last few years behind this game. It's been competitive. I'm glad this gets competitive because this game could be exactly like a FCS. Well, Kansas State's not FCS, but like a Kansas State fans do not take that the wrong way. We're not used to Kansas State being gods, top 10 teams. But it's good to see this game's actually competitive and not blowouts every year like it used to be. And then we'll talk about James Madison at App State next. I brought this game in here because I thought it would be interesting a little bit because James Madison's a new FBS team. They've always been at the FCS level. But App State has pretty much dominated them all time. They haven't played since App State's in the FCS, I believe they haven't, or FBS. Now they're both in the FBS, and I think this is their first meeting because they're in the same conference now. But I think this is a high-scoring game, as James Madison is one of the highest-scoring offenses in the country. And so is App State. So I got App State 49 and James Madison 38.
I called it pretty much the same, except for I toned it down just a little bit. I called it James Madison 17 and App 35.
Since it's like James Madison's not like a big team, people don't really know. I like the prediction, your prediction, by the way, but people don't really notice that James Madison actually has a great transfer. I don't remember what. I think he was at Colorado State last year, not this year. Colorado State last year, and he transferred to James Madison whenever got the first year in the FBS or second year. I don't really remember which one. But he's been one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Well, for completion percentage and touchdown percentage, he's been one of the best in the country. But I think App State's defense is really good this year. Kept A&M to 17. No, 14. Kept A&M 14.
Yeah, and that's pretty impressive.
Even if it was an off game for A&M, it's still impressive because the App State's defense caused it. And now we'll move to Notre Dame. I figure this game is one more interesting one. And they play at North Carolina. Notre Dame has started the season looking like hot garbage, getting smacked by Ohio State. It wasn't really a smacking, but anything double digits wise getting smacked. Getting knocked off by Charles Huff and Marshall at home. Credit to Khalil Laborn in that game. And losing your starting quarterback to season injury, and you barely beat California at home. History is on the side of the Irish in this matchup. North Carolina hasn't beat Notre Dame since 2008. They lost 34-24 in the matchup last season at South Bend. I believe that streak is over for North Carolina, and they will knock off Notre Dame. I got them winning 38-24. History. It's over.
We have the exact same call.
For the last.
My call is 24-38 in favor of North Carolina.
I think North Carolina has the quarterback situation figured out. Notre Dame lost theirs, so they're still trying to figure out what the crap they're doing. Marcus Freeman's a new head coach. So he's trying to figure out what he's doing as well. Cal almost came back and won that, or almost took it overtime. They just missed on a Hail Mary by like 4 yards or something. They almost put App State, but they got tackled instead. But hey, what you guys are here for, really here for, how you can win some money this weekend. We'll start with our bets. As I mentioned, James Madison and App State, I said they'll be 49-38. I have them go at the spread. The over and under is 56.5. And obviously, I said App State pretty much covers it by themselves. And then I think Wisconsin covers their 19-point spread against Ohio State. I haven't really been impressed with Ohio State, except they finally did some versus Toledo, even though Toledo kind of played them close a little bit in that game. But I said New Mexico and LSU, they play in Baton Rouge, and this over and under is only 45. I'm like, I don't know if that's going to turn out well for New Mexico because they're not really that good. And 45 is ridiculous. They'll score like 70. Then I said Indiana plus 16.5 at Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati's still a good team. I think Indiana has improved a lot. They're 3-0 finally. They've finally done something. So a 2-touchdown spread's a bit crazy. I think Cincinnati will win that game. But I think Indiana will cover that spread.
Interesting. So for my bets for the week, I got some interesting ones. I got A&M -2. I think that they're going to handily beat Arkansas. I got Texas Tech getting 7. I think UT coming in there. UT is going to be very overconfident. Plus, they're playing in Tech's hometown. So I think Tech will have a lot to deal with. A sleeper bet that I put on there, the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. They are giving up 9 to University of Louisiana Monroe. I like that bet. I think it's a good bet. I think they will beat them handedly by way more than 9. My other bet is the A&M Arkansas over-under, and I'm picking the over 48.
We haven't really brought up Louisiana and the Raging Cajuns this much, have we? It's the first time we've actually talked about them at all. I haven't really kept up with them this year.
Yeah, first time they came up.
And we only have some repeating ones like A&M, Texas Tech, Arkansas. We've talked about them, I think, every episode so far. That's crazy. And we'll end off this week's episode with our question of the weekend. If you guys are on YouTube, I encourage you guys to guess along with us as well. This weekend, we did passing yards last weekend. We're doing rushing yards this weekend. Who will have the most rushing yards this weekend? Rocket Sanders of Arkansas, Will Shipley of Clemson, Jalen Wright of Tennessee, or Deuce Vaughn of Kansas State? I
There
was
it goes.
Rocket Sanders.
Well, we'll think about that, and I think that's a wrap. Other than you have anything else, Britt?
I think Deuce Vaughn's the best running back in the Big 12. Besides that, I think I'm good. If you don't have anything else, we can clear it out right now. Make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube, like the video. Make sure you guys are following our podcast on Spotify. Hope you guys have a good one. We're hopping out of here. Peace out, friends.
Later.